Hello, everybody. Hello. Silence, silence. So I'd like to start by first saying that those who want to leave can leave. There is no compunction here or anything like that. And if there's any interest for exploring what we'll be discussing, this is not a gyan thing. It's like, somebody sitting and giving gyan. It's a dialogue, more of a dialogue. And if you feel this is not connecting with you, please feel free to leave anytime. There's nothing like that. And this is really for sharing our life experience and see if we can get any insights out of it, out of this dialogue that we are going to have. So, I do request one thing though, that for those who want to benefit from this, might not like, all sidey discussions going on and all. And so it's better to, and in fact, if you guys can come all together here, it might be easier, but if you're comfortable there, that's fine too. But, this, I know there's a chai going on too, right? You're okay? That's fine. So, actually, what I really wanted to do is start off with some amount of silence to see if we are getting to some kind of a start for what we are going to discuss here. So, can we please sit down and just be silent? Yeah, just be silent for few minutes, and then I'll start. You can close your eyes if you want, you can be open, you can eat, whatever, but be silent and stay where you are. That's it. What did you experience? Did you experience thoughts coming in, wondering, when is he going to start? Is this all there is, just sitting silent? Or were there any emotions that came up based on the thoughts? Or was there any anxiety? Were you anxious that he should start to say something or the other? Or you were just observing without any, perturbations of emotion or anything like that. So this is this exercise really is trivial exercise, but just to get into our experience. And I would like to start by talking about experience of things, So, to begin with, we are interacting with each other. We consider ourselves as entities. My name is Manohar. Your name is whatever your name is, and grammar tells us, English grammar tells us that we are a noun. And I submit to you that I am not a noun. I'm a verb. I'm an activity. Why am I an activity? Because there doesn't seem to be anything consistent with me. Science tells me very clearly that I have this bag of skin within which there there are like 100 trillion microorganisms, who are flitting about, and this bag of skin itself changes every three weeks or something like that. It's a whole new bag of skin I'm getting. So the cells there also are changing. And within me there's 100 trillion microorganisms, they are flitting about, they are being created, they are eating, quote unquote, they are surviving for a while, they are reproducing, and they are dying away, and new ones are coming in, and it's changing constantly. And within those 100 trillion, there are like 10 trillion human cells. Human cells are the ones that have 46 chromosomes with about 23,000 genes. And those the human genome is what that is all about. But that's only 10 trillion of what we actually are. And there's 10 times more other organisms, bacteria, and other microorganisms that exist. So I am actually the human cells is what make us prepare the ear that I have, and there's no tail coming out anymore and things like that. And yet we identify ourselves as being human. Although my human cells are by far a minority in the entire the microorganism that I am, and yet I say I'm human. It's like saying I put 2% of real juice, pomegranate juice, and then I put a whole lot of water in it, add some sugar and all, and I call it pomegranate juice. This here is pomegranate juice, and yet we call ourselves human. So, am I really even human? Because who is living who? Are the bacteria keeping us around for their, survival, reproduction, and to thrive, or is it us, controlling the thing? So that gives you at least a sense of some doubt. Say, who am I? Am I really, like I started off, am I a noun or am I just a activity? And we are, and we actually giving a name, like Manu, for instance, Manu, to an activity field. And if you look at it the other way also, the entire universe, if you look at I'm sure you've seen videos of it, they start off with the Earth, and then they show the bigger planets, and then they show the sun and the huge other stars and Antares and all that stuff, and before you know it, the Earth is nothing, and then they keep going, and there's the sun becomes hardly anything. So the actual universe is massively, you can't even imagine it. It's impossible to imagine it. And yet, we know for a fact that the visible universe that we have is only like up to the point where light has not reached us. That's the edge of the universe, they say. And even among the so-called visible universe, some of the 30% of the universe is sort of trapped because of gravity, because the light cannot bend towards us. So there's the remaining universe. And let's say today I was able to, by like great power, remove all the visible universe, like all the material in the universe that we talk about, that remove the Earth, remove the planets, remove anything material that you can see in the star out there, and remove the galaxies, remove the supernovas, remove everything. And yet science tells us that you only removed 1% of the energy. 99% of the energy still is there in the universe. So the visible universe is also nothing. So it's really impossible to comprehend the nature of reality that we take for granted. So who actually am I here? Am I even human? And in the universe, I seem to be like in my bag of skin, something completely inconsequential in the scheme of things. So the experience that I'm having, we started off being silent, is the only real thing. That's the one thing that I can say for sure, that I have consciousness. And because I have consciousness, I can experience. I have experience. Without consciousness, I would have no experience. So the only real thing that I can see for myself is that I have consciousness, and the experience within the consciousness is what I consider as real. Go ahead.
When you say you're a noun or a word,
Am I?
are you a noun or a word? Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Why can't you take everything that makes up your body, the microorganisms that make up your body, take them to be individually independent of everything you are? Okay? You yourself are independent of that. They are independent of they are surviving on their own. You are surviving on your own. Everybody's independent.
We are interdependent. Nobody's I cannot exist unto myself. Correct.
And there is nothing else that exists. Your body is made up of these microorganisms that are in itself existing within themselves.
Right on. So consciousness is actually getting to the consciousness is all that exists, right? So when the reality that consciousness experiences is the experience of itself. When consciousness has a self-reflection of itself, then it creates time, and then we have experience in time. Now, this is a complicated statement that has to be broken up, but truly speaking, consciousness is all there is. And so we have been deluded ever since the Greek philosophers and the Newtonian mechanics, which made us believe, and a lot of our science was that for a long time, that the universe is made out of matter, and really it's the other way around. We are fields of activity, and quantum mechanics is also saying the same thing, basically, that even if you look at subatomic particles, they are just a wave, a field of activity, and only when I bring consciousness into the picture, the wave function collapses, and you see a location of the atom, the electron, or whatever. So, in this continuous fields of activity, certain swirls of activity, we give them for our convenience, so that I can communicate to you the experience that that consciousness is having within me. We give it names to fields of activities. So I'm a field of activity called Manohar, and so you are a field of activity that's been given a name. And then there's a rock, there's a river, So these fields of activities are occurring sometimes for the briefest of time imaginable, or for a very, very long time, but they're all fields of activity. So in our in our culture, the Sanatan Dharma, the science has this thing about the fundamental nature of reality is an atom, right? This is just, we all know that, we've been taught, okay? And we won't get deeper into that, but the point being, if you look at it, that the fundamental nature of reality is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means it exists. Chit means it has consciousness. And Ananda is really amazing that it is blissful. It is harmonious. So even the most devastating things actually in the scheme of things is harmonious. And I was talking to yesterday, after I had spoken a little, whatever I said yesterday, people came to me and one of my classmates asked, and what is the solution to life? What is the solution? And it's unnatural. Being engineers, it's natural for us to think that way, that there must be a solution to life. And I told him, first of all, us being engineers and scientists, and there are a lot of PhDs in here, we tend to think that way, that there must be some kind of a right answer which I can check off so I can get the 92 out of 100 marks or whatever, So, but the nature of reality is not like that. In fact, I told him, if there is a huge calamity in your life, that's actually good for you. It was hard for him to accept that, but that is truly good for you, because what happens is because I am compelled to communicate with you through words. Right now you're listening to me, right? And I'm using words. Words in itself have no meaning whatsoever. They're just noises I'm making. I'm making noises. Somebody who doesn't know English and only speaks Swahili, for him it's just noise, right? But we have a consensus belief system whereby the noise that I'm making seems to create a reality within your experience. It creates an experience which is the reality in your consciousness. And so there seems to be some kind of experience going on within you with the words that I am using. And why? Because we have made a, what's the word I'm looking for? We have made a convention of giving names, Nama Rupa. It's in our tradition, we create a form out of all these continuous activity going on. I isolate a form and I give it a name. And I function that way throughout my life. And it's a mental way of operating. And we are operating that way, and we can be very successful. We can, drive fancy cars, and we can do all this stuff by operating that way. But consciousness creates the reality within me. And that's the only thing that is really, really real. So the question you brought up about microorganisms, we have given we are making observations of our bloodstream and all that, and then we are isolating certain fields of activity and calling them this is this bacteria, that's that bacteria, this is good bacteria for you. But actually the universe is all but nothing else but a swirl of activity. And I'm isolating bits and pieces of activity and giving it a name, Nama Rupa. Some form I'm giving it, and I'm saying that is that's a rock, this is a river, that's the ocean, and this is Manohar, that is that person, this is this table. So this is how we are functional. And one of the things that we are all very proud of, I know that because we are IIT guys, and there's been a massive lifetime of programming that we are supposedly intelligent, right? So, and the wives know very well that we are not, right? But the point being that we take such pride in being intelligent, but when you think of it, really, and this is a Sufi insight actually, the intelligence is given to us for survival, and that's it. And if you look at a tiny little bird, it has the intelligence to pick the right size of straw and just shape it in such a way that the eggs are warm and comfortable. It has that survival intelligence. So do we. Okay? Now, with our additional prefrontal cortex that we have sort of gone a bit astray in using it a bit too much. And what that does to us is we do not experience what we are experiencing because we are trapped into the mental world. And a good example that I give is this, like a gathering like this. Of course, we had met people before, but let's say I had not met a certain person, and we are chatting around. There's a cup of tea in our hands, and we say, okay, there's one experience, right? One experience would be, what is the first thing that we do? What's your name? Where do you live? What do you do? This happened. Oh, okay. So you have 2 children. Remember the talks that came yesterday? Most people just said the same thing. This is my name. This is my wife's name. I have 2 children. I studied here. I did this, did this. This is a very standard thing, right? Okay. That's one way to experience. So let's say I experienced this similar thing at a party and met somebody, and I got all that information, and now I go back to my wife home, and she wasn't there at the party. I say, I met this person, and she say, well, what happened? His name is such and such. He has a wife. He's got a degree in law, and he lives here. Oh, he's done very well in his life, and this and that, whatever, right? Okay, so now I think, and my wife thinks, I know that person, right? Now let's consider a completely different experience altogether. I meet the same person, and it's a different scenario, right? And now we just chat for a while. We start cracking jokes, and we're making passing comments on other people, and we're like, jovial and things like that. We just had a wonderful experience with each other, and it lasted maybe 5 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, whatever. It was like a great experience. Now I go back to my wife and I say, wow, I met this person. It's amazing. It was like, she was so wonderful and this and that. And she said, well, what is her name? Well, I don't know. What does she do? I don't know. Well, where does she live? I don't know. So when I am in the totality of my experience, I am in the experience. It's impossible to communicate my experience to a third party. This process of nama rupa, this form and name, is meant for convenience, so that we can talk to each other, we can communicate with each other. Okay, not in the conceptual brain. So, on the one hand, my wife is very comfortable that I know that person. On the other hand, my wife is befuddled because it's impossible for me to express to her the experience I had with that third party. So, especially with our background, it's really difficult to let go of this mental way of living in our lives, and not being in the experience. So this is, any questions, anything that's being raised, please go ahead. I can keep talking otherwise, So, any questions, Sriram? I know you have questions. Yes. Yeah. Well, well, yes, I actually disagree with you that I'm saying that structure in my life is for my convenience, right? When just like when I reach a red light, I stop. It's for my convenience, for my survival, right? And structure in my life helps me function smoothly, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my real life is like a banjara. I mean, like flitting from here to there. That is truly living at the edge of life. And life truly exists at the edge, not in the middle of the road. You could have lived all your life and done the proper things and died. Have you really lived? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes. Correct. Okay. Yes. 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 So, just because I'm sitting here and I'm like doing most of the talking doesn't make me any different from anybody else, or definitely not superior to anybody else. Far from it. It's maybe I'm able to express myself more clearly than somebody else might. But the main point, if you walk away from here, is that if I make it, whatever I hear, Manu talking about his experience or whatever, if I make it into an idea, if I make it into a concept, that was not the message. The message was to get into the experience of things and truly live your life. And that's, how I feel when when I'm truly joyful. Really. The one thing I feel like, let's say, for no apparent reason, I have not won any lottery, nobody's given me money, nobody's told me I love you, nobody said anything that should normally trigger me feeling happy, quote unquote, right? But to have your heart sing, I'm chopping onions to make my omelette, let's say, and I'm just jumping about for no reason. And there might be somebody in the house, there may not be somebody in the house. Trust me, I'm revealing something very personal, but I do it. And I don't do it consciously, but it happens. When that happens, I get the assurance that I am on the path of joy. I mean, I'm on the right path of my livingness, And there are other days where my brow is knit and I got stuff that I have to take care of, and I'm really upset at something that has happened or whatever, and there's a heaviness within me, that is not, it's still an experience, right? But I'm trying to convey to you that when I feel light and fluffy, and when I feel that, it tells me that I'm not in my head, I'm in the experience, is all I'm trying to say. Nothing more than that. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Okay. We are all very reasonably successful people, right? Coming from our backgrounds and all that. And some of us came from, decent backgrounds. Some came from really lowly backgrounds and did very well. All of us have been, you can't deny that. We are, easily upper middle class, right? Okay. Now, human nature being as it is, when there's complacency, okay, as I'm experiencing things, I am taking data points within me and I store it in my memory bank, okay? And so, as I'm living and I'm consistently being successful, quote unquote, or reasonably successful with no major mishap or devastation of any kind whatsoever, my memory bank that I have, I seem to have tremendous faith in that memory bank. You see? So, and I'm operating from there. All this engineering that we were taught, somebody fed us the fundas on it, and we use that. Same thing in our lives. I store data in my memory bank, and based on that memory bank, I make decisions. Should I do this? Should I buy this car or that car? Should I, do this or do that? So I'm successful. When that happens, I seem to get a tendency of a sense of self, which is not real. You see, just going back to my earlier, do I exist at all? I mean, as an entity? No, I don't think so. But I have created an entity. And how did I think of it? How did I create an entity anyway? How the hell? If you meet me, and if I were to say some random stranger, okay, and say, "Oh, tell me something about yourself." What do you think I'm going to say? Same thing what everybody else said on the podium yesterday. I'll do the same thing. So I'll say I'm this, I'm that. I live in California. I've got a PhD. I'm an IIT graduate. This, that. Now, let me reveal something very deeply personal. Okay, I have had the vilest thoughts that you can imagine. I have had ugly thoughts. I have had bad thoughts. And on the same token, I have had good thoughts. I have had the most sublime thoughts. Okay? And I have I have wished ill will to other people. On the other hand, I have wished goodwill to other people. And I have helped. And I have taken help without expressing gratitude. I am all of that. But if you ask me to write a little paragraph about me, I am editing the actual experiences in my life, and taking out bits and pieces. I go for a vacation to Europe, let's say, okay? And it's like a 10-day trip. And then at one moment of time, it was hot and it's steamy, and I have to stand in line, and, somebody stole actually, it happened in Italy. My wallet got stolen with 600 euros and my credit card and all gone. Okay, but when I come home, I choose to tell people about my wonderful trip to Italy. Now, in the moments of experience that I had some horrible experiences, I had some very good experiences. But to relate to someone else, I have cut off all the ugly parts, and now I have projected myself as I had a great vacation in Italy. We went to Florence, we went to Venice, we did this, we did that, So that's what I have done all my life. So to myself, I have defined my own entity, my own identity to myself. I have eliminated stuff that I don't feel comfortable about myself. And surely, when you talk to me and wanting to know me, I'm definitely going to edit all the crap out of the stuff that I really have actually experienced. But I'm only going to talk about the limited, so out of the billions of moments of experience that I've had, I've edited maybe a few tiny fragment of the experiences. I'm an IIT graduate. I'm this, I'm that. These are tiny compared to how many you can calculate, you guys, scientists, how many moments of experience have I had? So I have arbitrarily edited as it is to create an identity for myself. Who the hell am I really am? Who am I? You see? So, now what was your question? Yeah. So in my sense of self that I have created for myself, I tend to have some kind of a, how is it should I use the word confidence or should I use a word, like I seem to believe in myself too much. It's the way to put it. I know people use the word ego, I have too much ego, but nobody knows what the hell that means, right? But in reality, what that really means, I seem to have an inflated sense of self within me. Now, if the foundation is taken away from you in your life, in my case, let's say the divorce, in my divorce, it's not a big deal, but still the divorce happened, and that triggered a lot of the stuff that I had built on, just started crumbling little by little. So then you go, oh, wow, what is my reality then? What is who am I? Am I the father of these children? Am I the husband of this wife? Because she just divorced me. So they changed the whole. So these kinds of mishaps, calamities that happen, shake your the data bank of which you're relying too much on. Because what did I say? My life is in my experience, not in my mental projections of who I think I am and what I'm projecting to the world. It's in my day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience. No. If I said I did, I just negated everything that I just said.
But what I'm understanding the way you're saying it seems like you can only observe that life happens. You really don't do it.
Don't do what?
Things happen to you, bad things happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You observe it.
Correct.
And if you're not into it, then you're not going to do it.
I know these are phrases that are used a lot. I like to be a little bit more down to earth. No arguing there, absolutely. Yes. Time to drink? Huh? That's a real experience. Okay, guys. Any other questions? Anything? Okay. Yes. Correct. Yes. Yes. I keep telling my children that all the time. Failure is good for you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. So at my age, and all of you are my age, right? Approximately. My goal, if I say it's a goal, it's not a goal. Okay. A way of internal judging is, am I being more like a child as I'm getting older? I want to be more like a child again. And not in the cranky sense. I hope not. But to have that childlike experiences every day where it's fresh and the questions that little children ask is amazing. What if you could also have that experiences every day and just wonder about, when you're living without judgment, everything is interesting. You never get bored. So it's a good way to live. So I want to be more like a child. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Anything? Okay. Wise? No, I never said it is required. I said if it happens, it's good for you. It's not like, wow, if you're walking fine and somebody, hey, all your life you've been like in good shape. Well, let me break your leg. No. Nothing like that. But if it happens, it's good for you. Thank you.